This is the District 2 Sports Podcast with your hosts, Gregory, Devin, and Big G, your voice for local sports in Southern Virginia. You can listen to this episode and hundreds of others on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen to your podcast. Give us a like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and X. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
They're not in my top 12. They're not in my top 12. I told y'all. They're not.
Big G got his teams in and they all lost last week. So,
how did you get that? I got two teams in and one of them lost.
I need to throw one more shout out. I got a shout out to my little guy over there on the left, little Dev.
The spreadsheet is back out, and it's back.
Oh, you have one for basketball.
I got one for basketball.
Yes.
Really? You're not for Spurs? Okay. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Whoa,
So now
man,
it's going hot now. It's going hot.
For anybody listening tonight, anybody paying attention, if y'all don't know, the mob is in the NFL.
Not a fan? Not a fan of the lo-fi?
That music was atrocious.
That was weak. That did not.
That was the first thing I wrote down. As soon as it started, I put, not crazy about this.
All right, so District 2 Sports Podcast. We're back in another episode. We're joined by newly appointed head coach of the Liberty Christian Academy Bulldogs, Coach Tyler Meeks. Coach, we can't thank you enough for coming on this morning. Hopefully, the past 2 months have been good for you so far.
Yes, sir. Yeah, thank you for having me. It's been a blur. It's been great. A lot of learning, and it's been a smooth transition so far.
Yeah, how has the team responded so far in the first 2 months from what you've seen?
I think it's been positive. It's an advantage to be able to be inside. So, I know the roster. Know the guys, have a relationship, and I coordinated the defense the last couple of years, but then I've coached receivers this past year and tight ends 2 years ago. So I've been very connected to really all the guys. So yeah, it's been great. Seem to have some positive energy. We've been blessed to maintain the majority of our staff, which is huge. So that has been a huge positive. And we've had a nice offseason so far. The guys have done a nice job working hard, and so I think the initial reaction has been good.
That's awesome here. I mean, like I said, you're a familiar face with them for the past years or couple years. But one thing I saw was interesting. You're the dean of men there at Liberty Christian as well. How did that play into your leadership as the coach as well?
Well, I think it works out well. If the guys screw around in school, it's probably not the best for them because they kind of get it on both ends. They're going to get it from me in school, and that means I'm on the inside, so they're going to get a little extra running. But it works out well, and that's another reason why I have relationships with a lot of the guys. Just from telling them that their shirt's not dress code and all those things. I mean, we're blessed. We've got great kids and great guys, and I would say the majority of our issues have not been anything over dress code and some tardies and those kind of things. But it's been a positive, and it's an extra reason for me to sit down and talk to them from time to time when I have a minute.
No, I agree, Coach. We've talked to some of the other programs and other players, and nothing but the best there from LCA. I'm going to throw you a fastball, and this might be a long-winded question, but something to one of the most successful programs in Virginia as far as football goes, following the legendary Frank Rocco, who's been there for years.
Yeah.
What went into your decision to take this job? Was there any hesitation kind of following that sustained success? Or maybe what gave you the confidence to take over as the head coach there at LCA?
Yeah. I mean, I think, you hit it pretty dead on. I mean, there's a lot of pluses with taking over a program that's been run as well as Coach Rocco's run this thing for 21 years, whatever it was. I mean, there's, you don't have to start over in the weight room. You don't have to start over in the culture. Those things are baked in. And now the continuation and ensuring that the standard remains the standard is the main challenge. Mm-hmm. The outside perceptions that are inevitably going to be tied with replacing coach. And, there's always the fear of, something, we do something a certain way and it's, that's not how a coach would have done it. Or, those kind of things. I think that's natural. And I think, we can't get too tied up in thinking about those things. I think when the opportunity was first presented to me, that was a thought. I was going, man, do I want to have to do that, replace him? But then you start looking at it through the lens of a competitor, and you're like, yeah, I mean, that's a challenge, but it's a challenge that has a lot of pluses with it. And now let's, bring it on. And there's certainly a lot of pluses, a lot of negatives, but I think overall, I mean, it's just a no-brainer to be able to be out of a program that means as much as it means to me personally, having played here. I mean, I really feel like in a large way I was raised through the program. I mean, I think that it made it. I'm in this business, so it made a lot of direct correlations. But even if I was out selling cars, I think that a lot of the lessons that I learned and that were imparted to me through this football program would be serving me well. So I think I'm passionate about making sure the next generation of Bulldog football players, carry that on and that the right values are instilled in them.
I mean, what were some of maybe the biggest lessons or things you learned under him when he was the head coach as an assistant coach? And then will he be around to like maybe just kind of be there to kind of watch over and kind of give you some advice too, or is he kind of taking his hands off the program completely?
Yeah, I would say the biggest lessons. I mean, attention to detail. Certainly, the football X's and O's and schematics of it. I mean, that's I've learned those both when I was a player and then as a coach. But attention to detail, like in your life and the way you handle your business, being respectful to those around you. Being late is being disrespectful. You're saying that your time is more important than those around you. A lot of those things that are just like common sense things and the way I live my life now are things that I learned. They weren't common sense when I was 14, 15, 16 years old. So those are all things that, football provides the platform to be able to teach these guys, like, guys, this stuff matters and this is going to carry on in your real life. Coach Rocco is he's going to be as involved as he wants to be. I think he's been really helpful throughout the spring. We have a very highly recruited rising senior class, probably as high of recruited as we've had. And so he's still, using his connections to be able to make sure guys are, getting the looks and the coaches that he knows are kind of getting evaluation and tell us, hey, what level do you see this guy at, and those things. So he's been a tremendous help on that side of things with the players. But then he's been a great resource for me. He's the director of development in our school, so he's still finishing out through the end of the school year. So I mean, he's right around the corner. I can go over and say, hey, this budget question. How many helmets did we order last year? What do you think of this logo? Things like that. He's already been a tremendous resource, and he's going to stay in Lynchburg, and hopefully he'll be at some of our games. But then he's going to go out and see our guys playing in the ACC, playing in the AAC. Going to play, see our guys playing college. So. I'm sure he'll miss a game or two, but I'm going to hopefully say, hey, what'd you think of that? Our series there, tape there, and those kind of things throughout the year.
You kind of hit on something I want to ask you about. How do you honor what he has built there and established, but also kind of putting your own identity onto the program too, as far as like culture, structure, game management, and kind of make it your Tyler Meeks program as well.
Right. That's hard, honestly. I mean, it's difficult because I don't, and I don't ever want to take anything away from Coach, and what he means to me personally, what he means to the program can't be put into words. At the same time, I've kind of got a job, and we've got to worry about this upcoming season and worry about our program and our players. So, I would say a little split focus, but I mean, my focus is predominantly focused on our season and upcoming guys. There's been a few times that we've been able to, verbally just thank Coach. I think we're going to have some things towards the end of the year to be able to, show Coach some things. And then there's some long-term things we're working on the school end. I hope the LCA and everybody that's come through the program knows what Coach has meant, but hopefully LCA understands, the tremendous influence he's made. Honestly, football perspective, school perspective, but he was the athletic director until the last couple of years. So, I mean, getting us into the VHSL, getting our facilities from terrible to being pretty good. So I mean, and there's always ways to improve, but our facilities have come a long way. So we're very blessed to have. The program wouldn't be where it is without Coach and all that he's done for us. So,
I think LCA made a great hire with you. I mean, just because of the personal connection you have. I mean, you won two state championships as a player, one as an assistant coach. What does LCA mean to you on a personal level, and how does that history kind of shape how you're going to lead this program?
Yeah, it means a ton. Even on a personal level, my mom taught in the school when I was a student, and then my sister's an aide upstairs, and I have another sister that's a middle school teacher. So it's really we're all in. We believe very firmly in LCA's mission, and no place is perfect. LCA is certainly not perfect, but it's great to be at a place where the name of Christ is important. We're able to speak freely about that to our kids, to our students, and that I think, in some pockets of the world or in some areas, I think there's almost a label with Christianity that it's like, oh yeah, you're the best Christian version. You're the best version of it that's Christian. But it's, us, and as an extension of Liberty's belief, this Dr. Falwell years ago always said, if it's Christian, should be better. I want that to be said for the way I conduct myself, and I hope the way this program operates is, we want to be the best we can be regardless of what label we want to give us. And because we're Christian, that's not a disadvantage. And I think we want to represent Christ in a meaningful way.
Coach, I want to talk about your winning ways as a player. Like I said, you won 2 state championships as a player there at LCA. Then you went on to graduate. You went to Liberty. You won a Big South championship.
Mm-hmm.
What were you able to learn and will be able to use as a head coach in those winning traditions there? Yeah.
I mean, obviously blessed to play with a bunch of elite teammates, both in high school and in college. I mean, we were very talented and had a lot of success. I think we lost one game my senior year, but then we were undefeated my junior year. So I mean, we had very good teams and strong success and operating. And a lot of the things that our program is now, was similar to that 15 years ago. I think, and then in college, it was great. I mean, that you put so much more on your plate schematically to learn. There's so many more teammates. And then you kind of get, in high school, you play both sides of the football. At least we do it at this size school, where everybody plays 2 platoon. So you're really in a high school team. It's very natural to have teamwork and work together and be marching in the same direction. In college, you can get a little bit of it's offense versus defense. We scored 40 points. You guys allowed 41. What the heck's going on here? And so that was a thing to learn. Like you got to have to kind of get out of your comfort zone and teamwork and working with others. I mean, it was a great experience. Coach Stam was my position coach and was our offensive coordinator over at Liberty in those years, and he's actually on our staff here at LCA. So I mean, I learned so much from him. It was great to be out of part of there. And Coach Gill was our head coach, and we had success. Winning Big South, where I was on the first team that won a playoff game. We beat JMU. So I mean, it was cool. I mean, you look over what Liberty's done in the years since, and it's cool to look back at. In a lot of ways, that was the beginnings of what got them to FBS, and then what's now led to high levels of success. So it was cool to be a small part of that.
One thing you mentioned earlier was about the recruiting aspect. You said this will be a highly recruited senior class. Yeah. You were recruited at one point when you were at Liberty. How did you handle that recruitment process, and what would be like maybe some things you may mentor some of the kids you have now in their recruiting process now?
Yeah. I mean, it was a fun deal. I mean, that's a great blessing that's one of the reasons to play college football is a blessing. Mm-hmm. And I can kind of have a little bit of experience to lean on. I think the world of college football is very different now than it was when I was playing. The portal, the years of guys playing has changed things. The 105 versus 85, and then versus 120. I mean, that's changed things quite a bit. So it's a different landscape, but it is still. I'm able to kind of tap into some of those things. Some of the camps. Hey, I wasted time going to this. Don't waste your time. Don't do all that. Here's kind of where you window. Or where you fit. And then I think it helps from an evaluation standpoint, just to be able to say like, hey, here's kind of where we have you evaluated, and here's people we trust that are at that level. This is what they would have you evaluated as. So like, don't waste your time going to the Virginia Techs and UVAs. Go to these places, which are playing great football. I think right now, all the levels are playing as good a football, as it's been. Like when the reduction of spots with FBS and FCS has had a trickle down effect to where, and reduction of spots, and you have guys playing 6-7 years. I mean, there's really, really good football being played at D2, D3, NAIA. So educating our guys on that, it's beneficial to have played and have been connected to football in these years, because that's something I think guys think of. Oh, it's D3 football. It's like, no, D3 football is really good right now. There's a lot of really good players going to play D3 ball.
Yeah, we're really high on the ODAC, especially in Virginia. I mean, there's so many great teams there right off Macon, and Roanoke just got a program started up too. There's a lot of great talent there in the ODAC. Tyler Meeks, the player. How much NIL would he have demanded?
$0. I was very blessed to have a college career. I think I was a very average player. I mean, I blew out everything in my left knee when I was a senior in high school. And so, truthfully, like at that point, I was probably an FCS-ish level guy going in. Blew everything out. Was blessed to still have the opportunity to play at Liberty. But my first year really was spent in recovery, and then by the time I got my body where I wanted to be, it had been 2 years. So I mean, was blessed to have a career, but I'm not going to pretend I was an All-American.
That's awesome.
I was definitely more of a blocking guy by the time I was in college.
I love that. Coach, when you played at LCA, have you noticed a difference playing independent ball as far as the talent and the coaches and the teams versus the VHSL teams?
Yeah, I would say, I don't know that I want to say that there's just like a huge talent gap, but there's, the between the VISA and the VHSL. I think the talent is in different spots. I think when we're in the VISA, I mean, there was blue chip talent on a lot of teams. So we were playing. Christian Hackenberg was the #1 quarterback in the country. Wilton Spate was a top 10 quarterback in the country. He's a 4-star. So I mean, we were playing some real dudes. Isaiah Battle played at Blue Ridge. I mean, there's a lot of really good players that played in the VISA. I don't know that the style of football mirrors real well. Like in the VISA, I think that you at that time, at least, you cover the whole field. It's very, there was more of a finesse aspect in some of the weeks you play where teams are throwing the ball around, trying to spread you out. I think when we transitioned to the VHSL, it was a little bit of an adjustment period, and we struggled there for a few years. In that, I mean, if you cannot stop the run and you can't run the football, you're not going to win in the VHSL. That's how it is. In the VISA, there were some ways to get around that. Like there's a year where you're small up front, you can dink and dunk and Zeus and things. It's really hard to do that in the VHSL, and it's hard to do that offensively. It's impossible defensively. If you're going to play the light box, and just say where we're going to make you march the field, they'll do it. They're going to run the ball 6 yards, 5 yards a pop, especially in the Seminole District. I mean, the Seminole District is excellent football, very, very well coached football, and there's a lot of teams that are going to run it down your throat, and they're going to do it well, and they're going to do it creatively. And so, you got to be well coached and know how to stop that stuff.
Well, one thing I would say, I think one of the reasons, I mean, probably many reasons, but one of the reasons they left the independent league was because of the travel. What has it meant being in the VHSL and being in the Seminole District, maybe able to establish those rivalries and kind of playing close to home, I guess, with other teams? Yeah,
it's huge. When I was a player, Brookville won state championships, I think the same 2 years that I did, the teams that I was on. It was either the same 2 years or there was a mid-year overlap. And so we wanted to play Brookville very badly, and I think we would have done well. But there was a lot of that, you guys won state championships in the VISA, but there's Beecraft and Curve and those guys. That group at Brookville, I mean, they were very, very talented, and they won state championships. And so there was like a chip on our shoulder a little bit, like, man, we would love to play those guys. I always have a lot of respect for Amherst because they would play us in benefit games in those days. And so we'd play them before the season and it wouldn't count anybody's record. And they were always, tough, well-coached groups. And so it's meant a lot because, you're playing Blue Ridge. Blue Ridge just, had some years of success. It's hard to get your students to come out and watch a game and care about it. It's Blue Ridge. They're in Charlottesville. It's a boarding school. Nobody really cares. Whereas we're playing Brookville, we're playing Rustburg, we're playing Amherst. It's chances are our students have family members there. If not, they have friends there. They grew up playing rec against them. So it's been much, much more fun, I think, in the VHSL era of things. Just to be able to, get some real rivalry going, the care factor is much larger.
I'm with you, Coach. I remember when y'all were independent, I was like, I wish LCA was in the VHSL because we see them play some, teams on a regular basis. I think you guys played Gretna in the benefit game too, a few years ago. So I was like, oh, okay, that's really cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Going back to your coaching kind of career, we mentioned this before. You kind of spent some time in South Carolina.
Yeah.
How important was that to your experience and your development and just kind of being away from Lynchburg, out of your comfort zone?
Yeah, it was cool. It was a unique experience just because I went to a very large school, and it was a school that was growing rapidly. I don't know if it's true or not, but it was commonly said that it was the fastest growing municipality in the Southeast. I mean, I believe it. I don't know that for a fact. I mean, but the area has absolutely exploded at Indian Land, South Carolina, and it's just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. And so that was a unique experience. I mean, it was my first time coaching outside of LCA. Or only time. And then it was, different staff, different style. So it really challenged me and some of my beliefs on schematics, on different details of things that I coach different ways. And it was my first time. I always and do view myself as an offensive guy.
Yep.
And my first 3 years, I would say that was the case. And then I, coached a little defense. I coached the defensive line. Then I was tight ends, fullbacks, and I always just felt tailored towards offense. in my years in South Carolina was the first time that I flipped over and was primarily on the defensive side of things. And it was a different defensive scheme. So it was good. I got an opportunity to learn a lot. There were different types of players. I think the skill guys down there in South Carolina, I mean, we had a lot of skilled players everywhere. So it was all kind of back to what I was saying about the Vista, where you better be able to cover the whole field well, because there are people ripping it and throwing it and being able to spread you out and shred you. So, Northwestern and South Point and Rock Hill were powerhouses that we played. And, we had to be, find ways to beat those guys. Or try to beat those guys. So it was fun to be able to coach down there and live in that area. And then, I think I benefited from it.
Well, you're there for 4 years. You do return back to LCA. Did you get a little homesick, or what brought you back to the area?
Yeah, I think there was a variety of factors. I think certainly my family is all here in Lynchburg, so it was a benefit. We've got 2 young kids, and it was a benefit to be able to have some help with them. My mom was simultaneously getting out of teaching, so she's available to be able to watch the boys. So that's been great. The opportunity to be the dean of men and then be the defense coordinator, I think was a big part of it. So just being able to get out of the classroom, be able to have that, try that challenge, and then the football part of it. I've always made my career decisions based primarily on football, so that was a huge part of it. And be able to get back with Coach Rocco, and I'm extremely glad I did. And spend those 4 years away, there's certain things that you kind of. Not that you forget, but things have been done a different way in a different program, so you get away from it. Now I was able to kind of relearn and be like, oh yeah, that's why we do this and that. And there were some things in those 4 years LCA had done that I was able to learn and pick up. So it was great.
I think family is very important. I have 2 little ones too. We were in Florida for 6 years, so we had to move back to Virginia and make sure they see their grandparents and whatnot, and just kind of be around them. So definitely respect the decision there. Going as a head coach, you've been on both sides of the ball, offense and defense, like you said. From a schematic standpoint, I mean, what do you see the team projecting like this year? Are you going to be calling plays on defense, or how are you kind of handle that?
Yeah, I don't think to the naked eye that there's going to be a lot of drastic changes schematically, and there won't be drastic changes schematically. These are the systems I came up in, that I believe in, that I've learned. So I mean, I think like any year, there's a year from year to year personnel changes. Young guys grow up. And so you change and tweak some different things. I think we'll continue to be what we've been schematically for the most part. There'll be some tweaks like we do every year. We're a multi-personnel pro style offense, and then we base out of the odd front defensively, but then we can kick down into a bear and do some of those things. And try to be try to be a little bit diverse on our back end. On the weeks that we're able to. And so I mean, I think that there's going to be some subtle tweaks, but we're going to continue doing what we're doing. Coach Lucas Pribble is going to be our defensive coordinator. So he's been our strength coach. He's as good as there is in this business in that department. And so he's going to coach our defense, and I'm moving over to offense, and I'm going to call the offense.
Coach, when you took over there in February, maybe nothing changed, but did you have any early points of like emphasis or like non-negotiables that you had to have to kind of continue the culture or kind of set this culture you wanted to put in there?
It's a tough question. I think a lot of those I knew already before the process, just having already been in the administration, having been already on staff. I think the non-negotiables, a lot of those things probably would have been staff related. I think those were already kind of worked out prior to. So I think that kind of worked out seamlessly.
Gotcha. Wanted to move into the schedule from last year. You won a state championship 2 years ago as the defense coordinator. You guys go, I think, 10-3, played 9 regular season games. We talked about that Ironton game off a get-go. Tough one there. I mean, I didn't realize how good Ironton was there in Ohio, but tough one there. But you guys kind of got into a groove there in the middle of the season. Had a 2-point loss there to Heritage. It was always a great game to watch there. I mean, it's a great rivalry there. Before getting to the playoffs, I just want to talk about the regular season, talk about the Heritage game, and kind of what your thoughts were on the regular season last year.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of obviously we got humbled quick, which wasn't the worst thing ever. We had because of when school started last year, we had a very short camp. We had breaking in a new quarterback. Tyler Jackson had been our quarterback the state championship year as a freshman, and he moved to North Carolina. And so we had, we're breaking a new guy there, and kind of learning what we were personnel wise. So we went up there and played a very good football team, a very well coached football team in an elite environment. So it was, unfortunately we didn't represent real well, but we learned a lot from it, and we had the bye weeks there back to back after that. So then we were kind of able to rebuild a little bit. I think we had a solid regular season. Speaking from the defensive side of things, I think we were figuring out some different things up front, who to put where. And so we weren't necessarily the soundest, that we weren't as crisp and detailed as we needed to be early on. But I think we settled into a groove. Obviously, losing the Heritage game defensively, we did not play well. Offense just about bailed us out in epic fashion, but we had some special teams miscues and just some things there that very poor tackling on a couple of big plays defensively that'll get you beat anytime. And Heritage is always, they're always very well coached. They're always very tough. We have all the respect in the world for Heritage. So then we're able to kind of get a little bit of momentum defensively there in the playoffs, and get going a little bit, and then we just ran out of steam there in the second half against Kettle Run. And Kettle Run had a quarterback that was just playing out of his mind, and we could not get him on the ground. It was, I don't even want to talk about it. It was sick.
I got you. One game I forgot to even mention, and we were at this game too, or my brother was, that Jefferson Force game at JF. They turned out to be state finals, I guess. They also Austin State finals in 4A there, Class 4. But how important was that win to go on the road to a really good JF team and pull that out 22-19?
Honestly, that was as impressive, or that was as good of a win we felt about the whole season. They were very good. They run such a unique system. So, that's like a throw out everything and here's what we're doing this week kind of week. And to be very talented and be unique like they are and well coached, they present immense challenges, and they're going to be really good this year. So that was we scored the opening kickoff return for a touchdown. Jordan Burns ran it back, had a great start. You get a 2-point conversion, you're feeling pretty good. And then they had a big run right after that. They're very good. They're very good quarterback, Peyton Jackson. They're running back Fox, stud. Xander Coleman. They've got a bunch of guys that are really good players, and they gave us everything we wanted and more. And then Jackson Manning had an interception that bailed us out in one series, like on the 25-yard line. He's at D-line, picked it off. It was a great play. And then we got the ball back with like 10 and a half minutes left and never gave it back. So that was a very satisfying win against a very, very good football team that we were had a lot of really nip and tuck plays in that game that was one for the history books. And then if it was later in the season, that would probably be the first one that pops in our mind. But we just had so many tight ones down the stretch. But that was a huge.
Well, Coach, we may have jinxed y'all. I think when we got to our playoff kind of show preview, we predicted the LCA would be playing for the state championship, and you guys were Road Warriors. Went to Wilson Memorial, got the revenge win against Heritage, and we were almost right there against Kettle Run. But kind of looking to this year, we won't talk about that Kettle Run game, but looking to this year, the schedule kind of flips with a 2-year cycle. But you do add Glenver, you said, as the opening game. You're playing Spring Hills instead of Ironton. And I guess you play Franklin County again at Franklin County this year.
Okay. So we'll open with Glenver here, and then we're fired up about that one. We have Appomattox the week before and a benefit game, and Appomattox always gives us a great challenge, and their unique offense. They're very well coached, and always have good athletes. And then we'll host Glenver the next week in our opener.
Gotcha.
And they were the state 2 runner-up last year. Very well coached, very athletic. So we're interested. We had a little bit of film on them last year because they played Liberty Bedford. But truthfully, this summer I'm going to try to dig up what I can. But I know that they're very well coached, very disciplined. We have an idea what they do schematically, but we're looking forward to that. That'll be a good challenge for playing those guys. Then we'll have a bye, and then we play Spring Mills out of West Virginia, who's very good team out of Martinsburg, West Virginia. They lost in it was either state semifinal or quarterfinals, but they lost in, I think it was double overtime to the eventual state champ. So
wow.
They were, it sounds like by looking at their schedule, it looked like they were a lot like us. They kind of dropped some games, went back and forth, figured out who they were late, and then just kind of ran out of steam. So they're very well coached. They do some different things schematically than what we face here. So that's going to be a really good challenge playing those guys. They're one of the premier teams in the state of West Virginia. And then we'll play Amherst next week, start Seminole District. During our bye week, or during the Seminole bye week is when we'll play at Franklin County. And, that's always a really challenging game for us. And they're well coached, always huge. They're always big, and they're a little bit like us in that they use some different personnel groupings and they have an inline tight end. So it always, it gives us a good opportunity to prepare against that stuff.
Coach, looking at the team as a whole, looking at the schedule, what are some realistic goals that you guys want to put in place for next year? And then, what do you want the fans in the stands to kind of see or kind of be kind of recognized as a team's identity?
Yeah. I won't say any goals as far as outcomes, but I think what we really want to focus on is, making sure that each player, each position group, each unit, and the team in total is really honed in on the standards and the details in which they need to play their position. So I believe that, if each and every guy does their job and competes for 48 minutes and gives it everything they have and does their job and does what their coaches do, that will look up at the scoreboard and be on the right side of it a lot of times if we maximize our potential. But right now it's just about getting our guys to understand that, getting the guys to buy in. I think we have some strong senior leadership returning. So, I think we have a core group of guys that they understand what it means to play, to play our season, to have tough opening games and be able to get through camp and those things. So that's very valuable. I believe that player-led teams, that's where we want to get to. We want to get to where we can be led by our players, led within the locker room. I do think we have some talent in some spots, and we've got a lot of guys that need to prove it, and we got some guys that we need to step up in some different ways. And we've got a young bunch that we feel pretty good about. We don't have the number. Our senior class is large. Some of our younger classes aren't as big, so we need some of those guys in critical position groups to step up and compete. And then we'll look up and see what the score says at the end of each game.
Love it. My last question for you. Like I said, it's only been 2 months in, but what has the reception and the support been like from the fans, the players, the community, the admin there at LCA?
Yeah, everything I'm hearing has been positive. I think everything's been, the kids are energized. Not that, just change. It's just something different. There's, we change our helmet color. Guys are like, oh, that's cool. Just doing some cool little things that I can get some, guys to stuff. But ultimately that doesn't matter. It's just cool to have that in the off season and get some energy and mojo going. I've had great interactions with our parents and supporters. We have a great support system. Cody Mumal, I don't know if you know him, but we have a podcast that goes out each week, and he does an outstanding job. He's all in for next year. We have connections with doctors, trainers, and people. Our campus pastor is Tyler Lower. He is at a local church here in Lynchburg, Waymaker Church, and he does a tremendous job. And he's going to be a little bit more involved in our off season, doing some leadership development. So all in all, it's been very positive. Everybody's marching in the same direction, and we're striving to be the best we can be, and excited for the challenge.
Well, Coach, it's been an awesome conversation, getting to know you and kind of seeing what the LCA program will be like. I'm sure they're in great hands, just kind of talking to you and kind of learning about your history and whatnot. So we can't thank you enough for coming on this morning.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Coach Tyler Meeks there at the LCA Bulldogs. Thank you, Coach.
Yes, sir.